Good evening. Collingwood has started its title defence in commanding style, brushing aside Port Adelaide in an impressive first-round display. The Pies too good for the Power, holding off a third-quarter challenge before kicking away to a comprehensive 75-point win.
Collingwood's premiership defence got off to a smooth start.
The monster is awake early.
The Pies amped up the pressure while Port just did what it could to stay in touch.
And stolen by Cassisi. Can he kick the goal? You bet he can.
But Malthouse's men had clicked into gear. Not even the siren could get in their way.
Can they get the shot away? On the siren. It's long. It's there.
The second quarter was no different for Port. At the other end, Chris Dawes had no such trouble.
See exactly how good Chris Dawes is right here, right now. Dazzling.
Dane Swan with a party trick of his own. Things only got worse for Port, losing Jay Schultz to a knee injury.
Oh, there it is. He falls across here.
Port pegged two back, but it was the Pies by 45 at the half. A rejuvenated Power emerged from the break, led by debutant Jared Irons.
He stands the moment down the first gamer.
Port grabbed the momentum, reeling the margin in, before some magic from Andrew Cracker steadied the Premiers.
Has a bounce, takes them on, sidestep, outside of the foot.
Yes!
That's why they recruited him. Welcome back, Andy Cracker.
Collingwood with 6-1 in the last, bounding away for a 75-point Port demolition. Jackie Reid for Sports Tonight.
Welcome back to the show. Please make him welcome. He's part of Collingwood's sensational premiership winning side last year, and they got off to a cracking start today. From the Pies, Dale Thomas, everybody.
Great to have you, Dale. There's one thing, though, you want to do first up. What's that?
I do. Before Nan goes to bed. Nan, happy 80th birthday today.
What's Nan's name?
Nana June.
Nana June.
And what's her bedtime?
After this. What else?
Is she a Collingwood supporter?
She is now, yeah.
Who'd she used to barrack for?
Melbourne, I think.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Now, that's good that she swapped for you. I appreciate that. There's one thing we want to do first up, though, is something that Collingwood Footy Club didn't do today.
Yeah, dirty, mate.
It's tradition, first round, first home game, you unfurl the premiership flag, yeah?
Okay.
You didn't do it today.
We didn't, no.
And it was a team effort, wasn't it, this premiership?
It certainly was.
A massive team effort. So all your supporters, all the staff, all the players, they deserve that moment. They deserve it this weekend.
Yes.
We're going to give it to them right now. We're going to stand up.
Right, here we go.
All right, we're going to do
it's a big moment, this.
Big team effort. Hold that.
I don't feel comfortable with this.
No, we're going to do it. We're unfurling the premiership flag. It needs to be done. This is for all Collingwood supporters. For all Collingwood supporters.
Outstanding. Now, the reason you haven't unfurled it today, because it was your first home game, but you rotten mongrels want to save it for round 3, a Friday night game at the MCG in front of about 90,000 when you play Carlton. That's just low, I reckon. Why would you save it up for against the Blue Bags?
I don't think it's low. I think it's an opportunity for our great supporters, who we now have 60,000 plus of, to get down there and get a chance, whereas the ground today probably wouldn't have housed the...
No, you want to stick it up. You want to stick it up, Carl, let's be honest.
He wants his supporters to have one highlight, otherwise what will be a miserable night for Collingwood.
That's exactly right.
Now, let's focus on today's game, Daisy. Great win today. Well done. You were very much in control. You played very well yourself.
Thank you.
In fact, why don't we have a look, for starters, at one of the 3 Thomas goals today. Here it comes in here. There's Daisy. Oh, hang on.
Oh, no.
Oh, that was Matt Thomas from Port Adelaide. Sorry. I read that wrong off the sheet. I thought... Daisy, sorry.
It's unprofessional,
that is my bad.
That was right between the eyes.
Is that a new thing to try and mark the ball with your face?
I'm watching too much soccer.
Pretty slick performance, though. I mean, multiple goals, 5, 6, 7, 6, I think, something like that across the 4 quarters. And Port would look pretty competitive. They got to within 17, I think, during that third quarter, but pretty good performance by you fellas. Yeah,
yes and no. I think the first half was a pretty solid performance. In that third quarter there, we really went to sleep, and to Port's credit, they came back and really took it up to us. But, the boys got going again and were able to kick away in the end there.
Hey, it's been exciting times down at Collingwood. There's obviously the hoo-ha about winning the last premiership, and it all looks good for the future. But I thought one of the great appointments over the off-season was Mick Malthouse for King of Moomba. Did the club enjoy that? Was that a popular move down at the club?
Yeah, it certainly was. He told us all about it.
I saw the parade and it was quite moving, although I would have thought it would have been better if halfway up Swanston Street he was forced to abdicate and Nathan Buckley took over. That would have... What's your thoughts on that?
That would have been maybe next year. They can
maybe
do that.
Next year. Have a look. Here he is. You can tell he gets very excited even for Mick Malthouse at the appointment. It clearly meant a lot to him.
One of the things that instantly caught my attention was the fact that Moomba has always been part of me as a young boy growing up in Ballarat. Moomba was always there, at a distance, of course.
Very good indeed. And he obviously ran with it. And once he was made King of Moomba, he certainly let everyone know. He never took it off, to tell you the truth, the crown. Stunning pictures.
Who's the Mick Malthouse that you know, Dale? He's got a.
He's the one that coaches Collingwood.
No. The question.
How many is there?
We hear that the Mick Malthouse that you guys see internally is very different from the Mick Malthouse that we see publicly.
Yeah, I think Mick's been, obviously for me, a fantastic mentor in the way he's taught me a lot about my football, but he's also a great leader of men. Obviously, it's not the easiest thing to coach a group of blokes, so for him, he manages that very well. And on top of that, he's a fantastic and loyal family man, loves his kids, and now he's got a couple of grandkids running around, and he's been over the moon with that.
Mick, I think, brushed over the premiership, quite frankly, calling it a hoo-ha. Just a premiership Richmond supporter. Anyway.
1980 was important. I thought that was a very good one when Richmond...
We know.
I mean, as you see, when the coach becomes King of Moomba, etc., and I can only imagine the kind of things that have sort of happened to you since winning the premiership. I mean, there was no shortage of intensity today on field, and you've got a team that should develop and continue to flourish. Is the big danger for Collingwood sort of what happens in between the years?
I think with any team that's the big danger, but obviously after you have success, it's probably scrutinised a bit more if you do go to sleep and relax. So for us, the focus from day dot of pre-season was really well done on winning the premiership last year, but that was last year. Get over it, look forward, and hopefully we can do it again this year.
You know what, Daisy, the grand final last year, the grand final replay that you won, I think you should have won the Norm Smith.
Yeah.
I really do. You had a belter that day, and I've got to be honest with you, the bloke that did win the Norm Smith, never heard of him. Let's go back to the announcement, never heard of the guy. Don't even know who it is.
And the winner of the Norm Smith Medal for 2010 is Scott Embury.
Scott Embury. Been around for 60,000 in my dream team, actually. He's not bad.
Yeah.
It was unprofessional by that guy.
That was Arnold Brynis, who premiership player for North
Melbourne. Arnold Brynis, it was Palmel-Nidus. But you know what? You were the only guy to get votes in both grand finals from Norm Smith Medal votes. That was your effort in those both grand finals was superb. And you know you've had a few knockers over the years, but they all had to eat all their words because you're a massive big game player. You didn't get the Norm Smith Medal. You deserved it. But we've got another medal for you. We're going to give it to you right now, all right? Yep. It's not the Norm Smith medal, but put it on. It's just as good, man. It's the Dick Smith medal.
You dream of that as a kid, don't you?
Kids now will, now it's been unfurled. I think the kids growing up won't be worrying about premierships or Norm Smiths or Brownlows. That'll be the Dick Smith.
Yeah, you're an official expert.
So we're going to take a break. Let the great man just ruminate on this for a while because it's a very special moment in the life and times of Dale Thomas. When we come back, more from the Super Pie.
Strange. Dale,
Dale Thomas is our special guest, by the way.
Excellent. Dale, your contract is due to expire at the end of this season. I wonder, if I could put it in this way, what did you learn from the scrutiny that was on Gary Ablett last year and whether he would sign, wouldn't he, and the fact that GWS and all those same questions will be asked of questions of players like you this year?
Well, obviously the one with Gary, I can't speak on his behalf, but I think from the outside world looking at kind of seemed to drag on for a while.
Yep.
But I think with him obviously going, you can't really come out halfway through a year and say, all right, boys, I've signed with someone else. So that's the interesting thing with the AFL as it is now with new clubs coming in. As for personally, I think we'll just wait and see.
It's a lot of money, man.
It's difficult when players say that.
Offer you?
Yeah.
Collingwood, hopefully.
See, and you just accept that when you say wait and see, people will just assume that you're hedging your bets and that you're open to negotiation.
I think it'd be remiss of me not to be opening to listen to what everyone has to say.
Okay.
It is a decision, but if I could stay, I'd certainly be more than happy.
So,
speaking of Collingwood, on a week in which Dane Swan signed, the intrigue surrounding Dale Thomas continues. Take a look at what he had to say on the weekend when asked about GWS's approach to him on before the game.
I think it'd be remiss of me not to be opening to listen to what everyone has to say.
Okay.
It is a decision, but if I could stay, I'd certainly be more than happy to.
More than happy to.
I think it's refreshingly honest, and I think it's how football is at the moment, and more of what we should expect, because
what did you read into that?
I read that he's going to look at every offer that's put in front of him via his manager, and if it's good enough, he'll give it serious consideration, but it'd want to be pretty good to dislodge him from Collingwood.
yeah, I don't read that as him leaving Collingwood. Well, you obviously think there's more in it than I do. I just don't know why, if you were Dale Thomas, and I know that they're saying Pendlebury's an ex-captain, perhaps. I think he was anointed yesterday by Nick Maxwell. Thomas is an equally good contender.
They're not going to have a lot of money, are they, to keep these players? Swan's already gone down at $800,000.
You can't put money on being a lifetime Collingwood player when they've won their first flag in several decades.
But
under a president like Eddie Maguire, who's going to look after you and be loyal to you. I just don't think Dale Thomas will leave Collingwood.
You can't make up Dale Thomas's mind. I mean, you say money has to come into it. Well, maybe money doesn't have to come into it for him. Maybe he's going to sit back and go 600 at Collingwood plus outside marketing opportunities are good enough for me, and I'll stay in Melbourne.
It'll be double GWS though, won't it? Like Gary. And Gary's broken down the perception that you can leave a club. If the best player in the league can leave, and the second best player in Chris Jardine-Albert 1-2, whichever way you look at it.
Yeah, but everyone makes their own mind up, Hutchie. Yep. You've got to give the young kid credit. Eddie had a response on this on Triple M this morning as well.
Dale Thomas is absolutely entitled to field all offers. There's no problem with that. That's the way of commerce, and that's professional football and all the rest of it. And, then it'll be up to Dale to decide whether or not he likes his legs. But having said that, if he gets offered the big money, it's up to him to make his decision. So there'll be, that's that.
As we head to the break, you think he's going to go, don't you?
Not yet, but I think he'll have a very good opportunity too, and it'll be very tempting.
All right, going to
certainly
take a
more
break.
likely than Pendlebury. I mean, that'll be Thomas if anyone at Collingwood.
Okay, more on the Pies after the break and some spectacular debutantes. A bit technical.
Goal spread. You love goal spread. It's a big thing, isn't it? And Collingwood continue to have it as we move on to Collingwood and Port Adelaide. They get their goals from... I mean, Dawes is going to look like he might be in for a breakout year, but aside from that, they do spread the load.
Well, I noticed Essendon had 10 different goal kickers on the weekend as well. And you talk about the focus on Revolt at St Kilda, Tomo. Every bloke who plays forward of the centre is capable of kicking a goal for Collingwood, and it is just so important. It makes defenders defend, it puts pressure on them. Alan Didak was the leading goal kicker last year for Collingwood, kicked 10% of their goals. Now, most other leading goal kickers are 15 to 25%. I love the way they share the load down there. It makes it so difficult.
Yeah, and given that they're generally coming in from the boundary line around from the wing side, they've usually got a pretty fat side to hit into, and makes it very difficult for defenders. And as a forward, Gaz, you'd know that when you've got all that space to run into, and they've got plenty of options, and I think it's more their structure than their personnel. You can put anyone in the Collingwood forward line at the moment, and I think that they would be a goal kicker because of the way they bring the footy in.
As silly as it sounds, sides will take something out of Port kicking 7 out of 8 goals, and the way that they went man on man in that period.
Well, they're too good, the defence of Collingwood, to give them an extra number, in my opinion. They were shot. Look at the scoreline. And in the end, Matty Primer said, well, we're not going to play one behind the footy. We're just going to play 6 forwards. And in the end, it made each Collingwood player defend a direct opponent. And all of a sudden, Westhoff got off the leash. I think he kicked 2 or 3 goals. Heath Shaw had to defend an opponent. I think you've got to make the Collingwood backline defend.
They didn't unfurl the flag on Saturday, Caro, against Port. I'll get your thoughts on that in a moment. Warren Treadray, the former skipper of the Power, wasn't happy.
I thought it was arrogance, no doubt. But, I can understand commercially why they'd want to do it, but I always thought that it happened in your first home game, and that was your first home game. If that was the case, I would have chatted to the AFL and said, don't put Port round 1 against us, put someone else.
Warren Treadray calling, but rather the pot calling the kettle black with arrogance. Just kidding.
I think he's right. I think he's dead right what he said.
Well, they wanted to do it at the MCG. I absolutely understand that. A lot of clubs wait until Geelong didn't do it in their Did Geelong, I think, had a home game at the MCG, already had stadium, and they waited to do it at Skilled Stadium. Why shouldn't Collingwood do the same thing? The MCG is their home. I think Warren's on the wrong road.
I'm not
there.
sure it'll be concerning Collingwood too much.
No. I don't really think he's
and the crowd, 35,000 was a little bit light, wasn't it?
Well, given that Eddie said in your column on the weekend that we're too big for any other ground but the MCG, I mean, I'm sure they would have got more people had the game been at the MCG, but there were a couple of disappointing crowds on the weekend, and that was one of them.